How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Rolling Lines, an Apples and Genos production. My name is Josh Hutchinson, and I'll be your host. Rolling Lines, it's the only After Dark afternoon live show in the fantasy hockey universe. Today, Gugsy and I will be discussing must-make moves, power play deployments, zero-G targets, and we'll be taking mailbag questions. So without further ado, let's go. Gugsy, welcome back, my friend. How you doing? Oh, I think you're on mute, bud.
Shit, sorry about that. It's good to be. It's good. Still an amateur, everyone. I'm still learning. Anyways, it's good to be back. I missed this. It's been a good 2 weeks of hockey since the last time I was here, and we got a lot to talk about. Especially today, we got some big news today. Sucks for certain McDavid owners, but looks like he's out for a bit. Yikes.
Yeah, sucks for McDavid owners, sucks for Oilers players, owners in general. I mean, unless
Oh,
this becomes like a galvanizing thing where they're like, all right, the big boy's gone. We got to get this shit together and get this train back on the tracks. And I don't know. We'll see what happens. It could go either way, but
yeah.
things are not happy in Edmonton right now. That's for sure.
No. Last time I remember McDavid was injured a bit, I think 2, 3 years ago, and Draisaitl just went fucking ham. So if you got
Yeah.
Draisaitl shares, maybe this could be a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, and Hyman's supposedly going to play with Dry, so hopefully he kind of gets off the schneid there. He's just got to get one, you know. He's
Just one.
gotta get one little tap in from the asshole right on the goal line there. Solar Facade says, "Cheers, mates. Appreciate your thoughts on Granlund." Man,
Buddy.
I love Michael Granlund. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
Granlund, man?
So, as some of you know, I'm a bangers guy with face-off wins categories. That's my bread and butter. And this guy since last year and this year, he has been an all-star for me. I've been getting him on the wire for free. I've been getting him in like the last round of drafts. It's not really the points lately that I focused on. It's the fact that he wins face-offs from the wings. He smashes, he blocks, he hits. Doesn't shoot as much as I'd like to, but sometimes he does have. This year, he's had like 5-shot games, 4-shot
Yeah.
games. I don't trust these points from continuing. His shooting percentage is unsustainable, but if you could like sell high on him right now, because right now he's doing some JT Miller numbers. He's out JT Millering JT Miller. I don't expect that to last, but your opponents might. So maybe a good sell high.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. He's on a 97-point pace right now, over
Insane.
82 games, which is pretty crazy. I feel like, man, I mean, he's getting just insane deployment, insane minutes, playing 21 and a half minutes per game. Over the last five, his on ice numbers are good. His Corsi 4 per 60 or 46th, scoring chances 4 per 60, 85th. Like on the San Jose Sharks, if your on ice numbers are good, like you must be doing something good because you're probably the guy driving the line. And he is shooting a lot more. He's 37th in the league in shots per 60, which is not a spot that you expect to see Michael Granlund. But he's got to be a hold at this point, right? Like I would say at the start of the year he was kind of a fringe roster player. I think right now you got to be hanging on to him. He's over a point per game. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Uh, Eric,
I was this. Oh, sorry about that.
no,
I
you
was
go for
listening.
it. You go for it, man. Sorry.
I was listening to Blake's podcast yesterday. Highly recommend that one for you, listener. Blake put a cream of the crop podcast out last night, and he recommended what was it, like if you have a Wierenski and a Granlund, and you could buy low on someone like Josie. I like Granlund a lot. I agree he's a hold, but that's the kind of transaction I'm looking at. Because my God, if I could get Josie for something like that, I'm all over it. But if you can't swing that, yeah, keep Granlund for sure.
Yeah, man. I mean that would be quite a swing. But yeah, no, I think Werenski. You mentioned Werenski. I feel like that seems like maybe a little more in the realm of possibility. Eric Crusoe says, guys, thanks, or excited to roll some lines. Would love to hear your thoughts on Nichushkin and or Ross Colton IR holds for the next couple months versus opening up roster/IR spots for flexibility. Yeah, my concern with Ross Colton is by the time he gets back, because it sounds like he's out 6 to 8 weeks, which is just awful.
Awful.
I think by the time he gets back, he's probably not going to get the deployment that you're gonna want from him because all these other guys are gonna be back. Like, I mean, we're at the point where like you might even see a Gabe Landeskog in the lineup at that point. So it seems like over the next month, over the next couple of weeks, it sounds like Lehkonen and Drouin will be back. And then by the end of November, you'll see Nichushkin. So I really am feeling like Ross Colton is probably a guy that you're safe to drop if you can't hold him in your IR plus spots. It's really sad to say.
Yeah,
It bums me out to say because obviously we are a huge Ross Colton podcast, but I think you could pretty safely drop him. I don't know. What do you think about that, man?
I love Ross Colton. If you have the IR space, you never know what could happen. These injuries could, maybe something's still a bit off. Who knows? Maybe the stars align and Colton gets some good deployment again. But I agree with you. I don't think he's a priority to get premium minutes. So if you have space for him, keep him on your IR. If you don't, then yeah, you're okay tossing him.
All right. Let's talk about the week that was, Gugsy. We don't have any more undefeated teams or winless teams.
Yeah.
Because the Winnipeg Jets lost. The San Jose Sharks won twice on back-to-back nights, which is pretty cool. The Sharks are on a fucking heater right now. Hottest team in the NHL. Michael Granlund leading the way. Jake Wallman actually leading the way. 6 points in his last 2 games, which I was so close to dropping Jake Wallman.
Bro, I did drop Jake Wallman.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I was at the point, like, you had Jack Thompson on the top power play. And if it weren't for San Jose's really good schedule this week, he would have been off my roster on all the spots. But I was like, okay, I'll hang on to him because there's 4 games.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because it worked out for me. It sounds like not so much for you, though.
You're a smart man. I was at work. I work night shifts, and so I'm on the West Coast. And for me, it's 12 a.m. on a Sunday when my ads for the week refresh. And I'm on Daily Faceoff, and I'm looking at the Sharks. And who is that nobody you named who was on power play one who got scratched?
I think it's Jack Thompson. I'm actually not even sure that I got that name correct.
I always mix his name up with like Jack Johnson. Yeah, Jack Thompson. I add him at 12 a.m. because, I want to be the first guy to add the San Jose Power Play 1 D-man. He's actually putting up points. And as soon as I add him, the comments are like, this asshole is scratched. And I feel like an idiot because I dropped fucking Jake Wallman for this scratch. And now Jake Wallman is, it's not a good feeling.
Yeah, not good at all. Not good at all. Over the last week, the hot teams, though, Florida, Vegas, Carolina, all undefeated at 3-0. No big surprises there. In terms of the winless teams, Pittsburgh, Calgary, Utah, also not really a lot of big surprises there. Utah may be the biggest surprise, but I mean, their underlying numbers were not amazing even when they were succeeding, and now they are just absolutely decimated on defense, and it's really showing. They can't keep pucks out of their net right now, so that team, I think there was a lot of hype going into the season, but it's not looking good for the Utah Hockey Club at this point. In terms of scoring leaders over the last week, we've got Kyle Connor and Kirill Kaprizov, both with 8 points in 3 games. Those are your leaders. No big surprises there either. Kyle Connor's been absolutely killing it this year. I believe he's on a season-long point streak. So that continues to roll. He had 4 points against the Leafs the other night, which is crazy. Thought he had a hat trick, but it grazed Gabe Vilardi's jersey. And so Gabe Vilardi just gets credit for that goal. There were hats all over the ice, and people were a little rattled about that. But
nice going, Gabe.
Nice job, Gabe. His second goal of the season. And then Travis Konechny, Casey Middlestat, both with 7 points in the last week. Casey Middlestat been
Dude,
absolutely crushing it on Colorado's power play. Do you have him in
amazing.
any spots? I do not.
I have him in a few spots. Actually last night on one of my like main leagues with some of my closest friends, his waiver priority was coming up. And I wanted to add him, but he'd be my fifth center, and I was so torn on
Yeah.
yeah. I'm kind of hoping, even though I have some shares of him, I'm kind of hoping that he loses that power play one spot so it doesn't sting as much. But I don't know what'll happen. What do
Yeah.
you think?
I think it's inevitable. I
You
like
think so?
it will happen.
Yeah,
There are just better options that are coming off of the IR, so
yeah,
it is what it is. Like Casey Middlestat, it's awesome he's putting up points. He's shown even in Buffalo that when he's put in a nice situation, he can generate, or well,
totally.
he can put points on the board. I don't know about generate a ton, but he has looked pretty solid getting that opportunity. But no, I don't think that he's going to keep that power play one spot. I mean, yeah, unless he's locked into stealing it from Jonathan Drouin, and that is very possible.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. It seems like the coaching staff just freaking loves Drouin. Last year, like he was good for the later end of the year, but the first half, I remember this guy was just doing nothing, and I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what'll happen with that.
I feel like it's more like a Nate McKinnon likes this guy. He's his buddy,
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
trying to keep him happy type situation. But
yeah. Well,
uh,
yeah.
so there are a few guys with 6 points over the last week. Claude Giroux, Alex Pietrangelo, who's just absolutely racking up the assists lately
Beast.
with zero power play time. It's crazy. Mikael Granlund, as we mentioned, Mark Stone, who's just absolutely crushing it this year. Jake Wallman, Tim Stutzla. Jake Wallman, like I said, those 6 points came in the last two games, and feeling really good about
Hey,
that.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
This is a predicament I just found myself in. Would you take Wallman in a pure points league, Wallman or Mitchkov?
Oh wow.
Right?
I'd probably still go Michkov.
Damn it.
Still in a position of scarcity. But
Yeah.
playing with right wing eligibility, getting lots of deployment. His underlying numbers are not very good, but
No.
that's a guy that I still think I'm. Man, that's a tough decision. It's close. Jake
Right.
Wallman, I think if he is locked into that top power play in San Jose, especially when Celebrini gets back, that's a really nice situation for Wallman, and I would hope that he continues to generate some offense. But Michkov, it's like everyone is crediting him with overhauling this power play, which he does give it a different look, and they are succeeding. Like like what is Philly at? Philly's the 12th ranked power play in the league right now. They have eight power play goals, 22.2% power play conversion, which obviously is considerably better than it was last year.
Oh yeah.
Part of that, I think, is just they're playing the same guys. They've had the same five guys as their power play one unit all season. Whereas last year it was like, I don't know, just throw a
Yeah.
few of these guys out there. Throw Rasmus Ristolainen out there to quarterback. Like it's I think the consistency definitely helps, but Michkov probably does too. But
Yeah.
it's in terms of his offensive generation, it's not spectacular, but he is putting points on the board. So
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
who am I to
That's
say that there's nothing there? Oh, we got a Binksy sighting here. Binksy,
Oh hell yeah.
aloha,
What's up?
boys! I love it. Straight from Hawaii, yeah, that's great. Binksy, I love it. I love it. You got your twins in the picture there. That's so
That's great, man. That's beautiful.
A little picture of the twins. That's
That's
great.
the next
Good.
generation of apples and Genos right there. Can't wait till they're hosting with us.
I love a Binksy sighting in the chat. That's for sure. I will get to some of these other questions and comments in the chat. I want to keep rolling just to get through our scheduled programming, just because we have a hard out at 4:30. So we will just keep on rolling with our regular content and then get to them once we get to the mailbag. I want to get to this segment because I don't know if it has the legs to continue much more after this week, but I want to keep rolling with it. Philip Gustafson has more goals than Nick Schmaltz.
Mm.
Noah Dobson,
Mm.
Adam Fox,
Mm.
Roman Yossi, Jake DeBrusk, Quinton Byfield, Victor Arvidsson, Zach Hyman, which depresses me, Dylan Cousins, Miro Heiskanen, and Cutter Gauthier. What do you think
The
about that
cutter.
list? It's not as star studded as it was 2 weeks ago, but it's still kind of funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I love that. That's great. I hope this lasts for as long as possible, despite my Zach Hyman shares, because it's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I am currently working on a deal to deal Zach Hyman. We will see. I don't know if it's going to work
Oh,
out.
like you're getting rid of
Uh,
him or you're acquiring him?
Getting rid of him, not
Oh,
getting rid of him is a complicated
yeah.
is maybe the wrong way of describing it because it's working out a trade which would where he ends up not on my roster, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm just getting rid of him. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get some value back, but we'll see what happens. I'm not desperate. I'm not desperate to do it,
Okay,
but
that's
that
the
is
key.
just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it is a little dire right now. I will be honest. All right, let's go to shift change. So this is where we talk about our add and drop of the week, at least for the rest of the week, since this is a midweek episode. My add right now. There are a lot of teams that have 3 games left this week. The New York Islanders, they are one of them. My add is Kyle Palmieri. He is 23% rostered in Yahoo. They are rolling with a top power play that I wholeheartedly support. It's Palmieri, it's Barzal, it's Horvat, it's Brock Nelson, and it's Noah Dobson. This is probably what it should have been all season. Let's
Finally,
be
right?
honest.
Finally.
So that's what they rolled with last year. They weren't incredibly successful, but they weren't bad. But they've been they've struggled a lot this year. So I think Brock Nelson is a guy that needs to be on the power play, but we're talking about Kyle Palmieri. His 5v5 line right now is with Nelson and Maxim Siplikov. They have been leading the team in minutes at even strength lately. He has 7 points in his last 9 games. His Corsi 4 per 60, so that's his on ice Corsi 4 per 60 is 18th over the last 5 games in the league. Scoring chances 4 per 60 is 14th in the league. So they are generating a lot, this line. His individual scoring chances 4 per 60 over the last 5 games, 42nd in the league. And he has been shooting a lot as well. He's averaging 18 and a half minutes over the last 5 games. All of these numbers are only just slight increases over his the rest of season numbers. So he is getting some pretty good deployment, and now he's on power play 1. So I'm pretty happy with that for Palmieri, generating a bit, scoring a bit. So I think he's my guy for the rest of the week right now, despite the Islanders not looking amazing offensively. But I'm hoping that this power play 1 situation kind of improves things for them. What do you think
Yeah.
about Kyle Palmieri here,
I
Goalie?
love that. That's awesome. Ever since the Duclair injury, he's stepping it up. I think Brock Nelson is on that power play as well. I think the whole squad's
Yes.
back on that power play 1. Yeah, finally.
The
I
boys.
think the boys are back in town, and that's what you want to see. So I'm happy I held on to Brock Nelson, and yeah, Palmieri is he's on a lot of wires. Good rest of the week schedule. I'm totally into this move. Good analytics. Yeah, totally. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Who's your out of the week?
My boy, our boy, Nate's boy, Kirill Marchenko. This dude is finally getting a crack at power play 1, and he's doing a pretty good job. He's been an even strength warrior for the year, 9 even strength points on the year, and now he's finally, it's been a few games with him on power play 1. I know he's been on power play 2 for a while. He's surrounded by a supporting cast that surprisingly is really performing. Chinakov's doing great. Monahan's doing great. Werenski's doing great. This Dean Evison guy ain't too shabby. And I'm kind of excited. I feel like this might be. I feel like the Columbus players are going to get a lot of respect throughout the year. I don't know if the points will continue to this degree for everyone, but I'm definitely interested in everyone here. Right now, I'm most excited for Kirill Marchenko, and let's not forget this guy was Nate's boy last year. Nate, this is like Ross Colton levels of excitement from Nate, and that says it all right there. So. I'm excited to having Marchenko in as many leagues as I can snag him in.
Yeah, man, I'm in on Marchenko for sure.
Yeah.
Especially Columbus has a nice schedule the rest of the week as well. Another team with 3 games. They all season not the best schedule for
Yeah.
the entire season, but I
Yeah.
think those 3 guys, Marchenko, Monahan, Chinikov, are kind of proving that they should probably be on your roster, at least at the bottom. And they're generating a lot. They are actually, according to Money Puck, they're the best line in the league at expected goals for percentage at
That's
5v5.
crazy.
Number one, 74.1% expected goals for percentage on the season. That's incredible. That's
That's so
crazy
good.
numbers. And as a team, their underlyings aren't amazing, but this line is fucking crushing it. And they're all on power play 1 right now. So I think
Yeah.
you should be snapping these guys up if they're available in your league,
Absolutely.
any of those 3.
Yeah.
I picked up Monahan at the start of the week. He's probably, of the 3, probably the one that I'm least inclined to pick up, but I did pick him up at the start of the week just for the good schedule, and he got me 2 goals right off the bat. So
Yeah. Beautiful.
feeling pretty good about that. But yeah, Marchenko is an incredible player. I wholeheartedly support that ad. My drop of the week, it's not a specific player, but it's really anyone outside of the top line in Dallas. Dallas is going to the Global Series. I think it's called the Global Series. I'm not 100% sure. They're going to Finland to play the Florida Panthers for a couple of games at the end of the week this week. So only 2 games this week, and then when they come back, they only got 2 games next week. So they have probably the worst schedule out of anyone in the league over for the rest of this week and through next week. So I mean, anyone on their roster that's a fringe player on your team, I think you could safely drop at this point. We're talking guys like Jamie Benn, even though he's on power play 1. We're talking guys like Logan Stankoven, who's had a really good start to the year. I think he has 9 points already so far this season, but that's a guy that I think you could safely drop. Mason Marchment, who's been hot, Tyler Sagan, guys like that. I think any of those guys you could probably drop off your roster outside of Robertson, Hintz, and who's the other one? Wyatt Johnston. And then Miro Heiskanen and even Thomas Harley, I'd say you could probably hold on to those guys just because defense is such a hard position to lock down. I think Harley is a guy that you definitely need to hold. But outside of that, I think you could probably drop everyone and not feel too bad about it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I hate Dallas so much for fantasy. I'm happy that I stayed away from them, even though I know like Jason Robertson is such an amazing player. He's capable of being a 90, 100 point player, but the deployment these guys are getting, I'm not interested. And the fact that their schedule sucks for 2 whole weeks, yeah, unless they're guys you drafted highly, like the big guys, you don't really. What do you think of Matt Duchene in that regards, though?
Yeah, I mean he's been killing it to start the year,
Yeah.
but he does that right. Like he
Yeah. Right.
he we got Big C says, "Hey, now let's keep it civil in Big D." Yeah, famously John Bickle, big Dallas Stars fan. Big C is a pioneer of this midweek show. I do want to point that out. For those of you that don't know, some of the new listeners don't know. Binksy was my original co-host. He actually, I believe, coined the name Rolling Lines. That was his idea. He was a big pioneer of this show. So this show would not be what it is today without Binksy. So let's be a little nicer to the Dallas Stars,
You got
Gugsy.
it. Yeah, you
But
got it, buddy.
but all right. In all seriousness, Matt Duchene. Yeah, I think you could probably drop Matt Duchene at this point. Yeah, he's on a heater right now, but I think that they roll the Lions in Dallas. Like they all
Yeah.
play very similar minutes, even power play minutes. That top power play is not necessarily getting better time on ice than power play 2, just because they have so much offensive depth and
Yeah.
they can do that. So they load up the top power play, but they don't necessarily give them the minutes that other teams maybe do. So I think that Matt Duchene is probably a guy that you could probably drop at this point because he's a very streaky player.
Yeah.
And I think you could safely drop him at this point. Who's your drop, Gugsy?
All right, this might be a little controversial because, as you said, this guy's even strength deployment has been pretty good, and the rest of his week schedule is pretty good. But I mean, I've been looking at my rosters, the ones that have him. It's Slipleclaw, by the way, on the Islanders. And he was always the weakest link in the chain for my team for my remaining schedule. He's about 4% owned last I checked. I feel like most wires will give you someone better than Siplikov. Siplikhov's off power play one. Last game he only got 14 minutes time on ice. It seems like my thing with Siplikov was when he was on power play one, I'm all there. But then their power play was kind of split and didn't always give you the results you wanted. I just feel like as far as value over replacement, I think most leagues can do better than Siplikov unless you're in like a crazy 16-man league or something. I still believe in the player, and of course, the rest of the week schedule is good, but I feel like most people will have someone better on the wire over Siplikov, and that was kind of my logic like 2 weeks ago when I said Byfield's a drop, and turns out I think I was right about that one. I don't know, but yeah, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's controversial at all to drop Siplikov at this point.
Sweet.
Just without the power play deployment, I don't think that any type of great 5v5 deployment is necessarily worth holding a candle to in Long Island. I said in Long Island. And I'm not I'm not worried about dropping Siplikov at this point. He's not a guy that's going to get snapped up off the waiver wire. He's kind of
Absolutely.
You don't really know what to expect with this guy. It has some bangers value. He does hit quite a bit, but yeah, even the shooting metrics have really gone down the shitter. So I wouldn't blame you for dropping Siplikov, even for like, hey, if Kyle Palmieri's on the waiver wire,
oh yeah,
just swap him. Just swap
totally,
because the
100%.
Islanders do have a good schedule the rest of the week. So I support that drop for sure. Let's go to the power play planner. We're just gonna go around the league and just take a look at some differences, changes across the power plays in this league. We're gonna start with the Anaheim Ducks because we're going in alphabetical order, and Olen Zellweger getting straight power play one treatment over the last two games. I mean, long overdue. It's very, very exciting. I'm personally very excited. They've been using Jackson Lacombe, Cam Fowler, Pavel Minchikov even. Like, Minchikov, not a terrible quarterback for the power play, but I don't necessarily think that that's the player he is. Olen Zellweger is an offensive defenseman who has crazy offensive ceiling. And this guy needs to be quarterbacking your power play if he's in your lineup. He's been getting that straight power play one treatment along with Frankfurt, Toronto, Troy Terry, Mason McTavish, Leo Carlson. What do you think of that power play one unit, Gugsy?
You know what? Lately they've been killing. I'm actually surprised that Dallas has been winning games. Lucas Dostal is in the zone.
Yep.
I haven't watched any Dallas games. I'm not as familiar with Zellweger as you are. Sorry, not Dallas. Ducks games. Have you checked them out? Like, how's he looking? He's a youngster.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched a ton of Olen Zellweger. I have tuned into a few Ducks games late at night. And really noticed Troy Terry. Troy Terry's the one player where I'm like, oh man, this guy is still so good. So that's a guy that I'd be trying to pick up because his deployment is starting to really get better. His ice time is increasing. He's getting a better 5v5 situation and still locking in on that top power play. But yeah, Zellweger, I mean, this guy has to. He has so much offensive upside. One of the best, I think, offensive defenseman prospects out there. He is the future power play quarterback of this team. Like it's not even a question.
What do you think some, just spitballing here. What do you think some comparables for Zellweger are? Like some defensemen you think he's capable of becoming similar to? What do you think?
Oh man, I'm not the guy to ask about that, to be honest, but I don't know. Like, yeah, that's more of a Victor Nuno question. Victor, if you're listening, send us a message on Twitter. But I don't know enough about prospects.
Gotcha. I don't know shit about prospects either.
to do player comparables. I just know that this guy does have a ton of offensive potential, and
Yeah.
looking at the crop of Ducks defensemen, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's obvious that this guy needs to be doing this. So it's good to see that he is finally getting that opportunity. Big C also says power play coach is garbage for Dallas. Unfortunately, a friend for Pete DeBoer. That's unfortunate, Big C. It really hurts when the guy that is that's running your power play does not do it the way you want them to. Calgary, we've got Igor Sharangovich back from injury, playing on power play 1, swapped in for Connor Zary. That's a guy that you could probably be picking up. In Chicago, we have a slight change to the power play. Nick Foligno, gone. Lucas Reichel on the power play now for the Chicago Blackhawks. Reichel was getting some exposure to Connor Bedard at 5v5, but now is not, unfortunately. Still, his minutes are not good. 12 minutes time on ice over the last 5 games, but his shots per 60 rank 59th in the league. Individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 116th. Those are not bad. He has 4 points in his last 5 games. I do think that there is some value here. There's something for Lucas Reichel. This is another guy with high upside that just hasn't figured it out the last couple of years, partially because he's not really getting a ton of opportunity. But if he is getting Bedard exposure on the power play, I'm certainly at least I'd put him on your watch list at the very least.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think like with Reichel, you can't spell Reichel without Eichel. So remember that.
I will.
Okay. That's all
I
got
will
about
remember
it.
that. Yeah, thanks, man. If ever I'm like, fuck, how do I spell Lucas Reichel? I'm like,
There you
well,
go.
Jack Eichel. Jack
There it
Eichel.
is. Put an R in
there
front
it
of there,
is,
you're
yeah.
good to go.
Man, thanks for the tip, bud. That's great.
That's what I'm here for. That's why I get paid the big bucks, folks.
All right. We talked about Ross Colton. We talked about Ross Colton being down with injury. He was getting some power play one time in Colorado. In practice today, Ivan playing on power play 1, which is so cool.
I love it. That's awesome. That's
I mean,
great.
I don't have much on Ivan. Maybe I should look his underlying numbers up. Let's just see what he's doing the last little while. Not really very exciting. I'm going to be honest. Not even really worth reading. He does have 3 points this year in 10 games. I mean, I don't know. Any exposure to power play 1 in Colorado is good exposure. So if you want to pick him up at least until some of these other guys get back, or even just for a 1-game stream, it's probably not the worst choice in the world. In Detroit, we've got Patrick Kane, Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat. We've got Andrew Kopp on the top power play over Lucas Raymond, which is a bit of a surprise. I don't know that I like that at all. And then Mo Sider getting time because Eric Gustafson's been a healthy scratch. That just seems to be the way that they're rolling things this year. Mo Sider gets the exposure. I feel like at this point, do you just play Sider on the power play? Like,
Yeah.
why not?
Why not? Yeah. I don't know. Understand. Quit playing games with our heart, coach. I forget your name. I was so excited for Gustafson. Yeah, Gru. I took Gustafson as a last round power play 1 guy. I was so excited, and this asshole's getting scratched. Just quit playing around. Just put Sider up there. I don't want to get my hopes up anymore.
Edmonton. Obviously, Connor McDavid is out. We talked about that off the top of the show for the next 2 to 3 weeks. At least in the beginning, Victor Arvidsson replacing Connor McDavid, which Blake, I know, was championing that decision on the podcast. I was going to shout him out, but he already kind of was kind of championing that thought because they had Nate and Blake had a famous debate about whether Jeff Skinner or Victor Arvidsson would be the injury replacement on power play 1 in Edmonton. Blake said Arvidsson, Nate said Skinner, and it turns out Blake was right. So
yeah, good for you. You called it, man.
You gotta wave that flag anytime you're right when you're competing with Nate.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta wave that flag as much as
Feels
you
so
can.
sweet.
But yeah, so he is playing on power play one, probably worth a pick up there. In Florida, Sasha Barkov is back. Love to see it. Had a goal and an assist the other night in his return. They're going to Finland, so that should be interesting. His home country. We'll see. We'll see kind of how he responds to that, and if he has a couple big nights. We saw William Nylander with some big games in Sweden last year when they went over there. So maybe Sasha Barkov gets the same magic from his home country. We've got Juvis Balinskis quarterbacking power play one. They've been scratching at a Boakfist, and no love for any of the other regular Florida Panthers defensemen. You got to put Juvis Balinskis on the top power play. What do you think about Balinskis?
Sweet name. I'm really into that name, actually. I I'm not. I don't think anyone's really familiar with him. The fact that he's listen, if you're able to, if you were the type to roster Bockwist, you're gonna roster Balinskis because he's getting that power play one exposure on a hell of a power play. You never know what could happen. I remember like 2 years ago, no one cared about Brandon Montour, and he became like a league winner that you got off the waiver wire. So I'll always remember that year fondly, and because of that, I'm always interested in whatever scrub they put on power play one. Apologies, I don't know if this guy's a scrub or not. I really haven't looked into him. I'm just interested because he got the power play one exposure. Also, I feel kind of bad for Aaron Ekblad. That kind of sucks for him, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I'm way past my Aaron Ekblad support at this point because there's just not a ton of value there.
It sucks.
It's unfortunate. In Pittsburgh, we've got Ricard Raquel replacing Brian Rust on power play one. With Brian Rust out with an injury, it sounds like he might be out long term. So Raquel really reaping the benefits right off the bat. I think he had a pretty good night the other night. I'm trying to remember what he did there. It could be maybe I'm dreaming it. I have no definitive recollection of what Ricard Raquel did the other night. I only seeing his name on the Score app. What do we got here? This is really good podcasting. I'm trying to just prove my point here that he had a good game. Yes, he did. He had 2 goals last night. Neither of them were on the power play, but he did have 2 goals. It looks like he's playing up with Crosby on the top line as well. So Ricard Raquel probably worth a pickup as well. San Jose, we already mentioned this, but Jake Wallman back on power play one. I'm going to keep saying it to Gugsy. Gugsy not super thrilled to hear that.
I'm still picking him up. Fuck it, whatever. I fucked up in a few leagues. I'll pick him up wherever I can. I'm excited.
Yeah. In Seattle, Riker Evans getting a ton of power play time with Vince Dunn out, kind of pretty much just slotting into the Vince Dunn spot. And he's been pretty solid as well. That's a guy that I picked up this week in a couple spots where I needed defensemen as in deeper leagues. He's got 2 goals in his last 5 games. His shots per 60 rank over amongst defensemen over the last 5 games, 56th in the league. Individual scoring chances for per 60 rank, 63rd. I mean, he's been pretty solid. 6 points in 10 games this year. Nothing to complain about there with Riker Evans. That's another guy that has some potential in terms of offense. I mean, a lot of people were saying that he was probably going to get a more offensive role going into this season, and then they picked up Brandon Montour, so kind of pushed him down the depth chart. But this guy is someone that.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I was just wondering.
No.
What are you doing with your Montour shares, out of curiosity, if you have any?
Oh, I mean, I'm hanging on, man. He's killing it. He's absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely
hat trick.
Crushing it.
Yeah,
had a hat trick the other night. I think I'm rolling with it. He's getting more ice time. Now that Vince Dunn is out, Riker Evans obviously like I said, he is getting a bit of time there, but Brandon Montour, I think I mean that's a guy that I have watched play this year, and he looks like the best player on the ice for Seattle pretty much every night. He's that's obviously an eye test take, which maybe is not like a typical a typical apples and Genos take, but yeah, I mean his underlying numbers are fantastic too. Shots per 60, 25th in the league over the last 5 games. Over the season, 6th in the league, and individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 17th. On ice numbers are great. I mean, he's doing Brandon Montour things, and now has 9 points in 10 games or on the season. So, looking really, really nice. Maybe even better than we thought. So, yeah, I'm hanging on to Montour for sure. And then the last situation I did want to talk about is Toronto. So they have split their power plays, which typically is something that I hate. But their power play one has been fucking terrible. So bad. And there is a large sample size at this point. Going back to February of this year, their power play is less than 10%. It's insane how bad their power play is. So something had to happen here. So they split them up. The top unit is Matthew Nyes, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Max Pacioretty, Morgan Riley. Second unit, William Nylander, Max Domi, John Tavares, Bobby McMahon, OEL. It's not exactly the way that I would play it. If we were going to split power plays, I'd probably swap Nylander and Marner, have Matthews and Nylander on the top unit, so that you have shooting weapons on both flanks. And yeah, I don't know. But all things considered, like typically I hate this, but as a Leafs fan and someone that's watched this power play and is just so fucking sick of them not being able to get a zone entry and just fucking standing around and with no urgency, it's just something had to happen here. So I don't know, man. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I fucking hate it for fantasy. I think your Leafs fandom is enjoying it, but the fantasy part of you is kind of not into it. And yeah, I actually I've always liked the Leafs. I get shit on by my Canucks fans for that. And like this is the fucking power play needs something to happen, and maybe this will spark something. I'm also kind of salty because I'm really in on OEL, and him on power play too kind of sucks. On that note, just as a Leafs fan, forget fantasy. What do you think of OEL? How he's playing? What do you think of the eye test on OEL? Are you happy with him?
Oh, eye test is great.
Right?
OEL has looked awesome. Like he's so much better than I thought he was. Honestly,
you guys
so much
got
more,
Arizona OEL. You got Arizona OEL back.
Maybe, yeah, or at least Florida OEL. I'll take that. He was fairly solid in Florida. His underlying numbers have been pretty solid. On ice numbers are really good, but that's partially just because he's on the Leafs. Yeah. I've really liked OEL. He's been a pleasant surprise. Obviously, a bit more of term on his contract than I would probably like, but I do think that he has played a bigger role on this team and will play a bigger role on this team than I was expecting. So, I like him a lot. I don't mind him in the power play spot. I didn't really think that he moved the needle a ton there. Pretty passive, like really just played the Riley role. Like he didn't really change the dynamic at all when they put him on the top unit. So that was a little bit disappointing. I thought maybe he would be a little bit more of a shooting shooting weapon to kind of open up some space for the other guys, but he didn't really shoot the puck very much. So it's like, I'm not super surprised that they went back to Riley at this point. Let's go to from zero to hero. Let's talk about some 0G targets. This is where we talk about guys that are sub 50% roster that you could be picking up for your roster if you went 0G in your draft, or if you've got Alexander Georgiev and you're sick of him, you want to drop him. You know what I mean? At this point, the draft capital, it's hurting you a little bit.
Yeah, 0G.
So try and cut your losses.
That's why we do 0G.
Yeah, that's right. Cut your losses and maybe pick up one of these guys here. So Dustin Wolf, 49% roster. He's just a 0G target by our definition. He has a 924 save percentage this year. Really solid numbers. Dan Vladar, his tandem partner, 8% rostered with an 895 save percentage. So Wolf has greatly outperformed Dan Vladar, but they are sticking with the straight tandem. But when I see numbers like that, I start to wonder if maybe you start leaning a little bit towards Dustin Wolf at some point, just because he is so greatly outperforming Dustin Wolf. Or I just said Dustin Wolf twice. Dan Vladar. What I don't know, man. What are your vibes about this Calgary situation?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Wolf is the next guy. This is maybe the league's one of the league's best goaltending prospects, if you can even call him a prospect. I think this sooner or later this net is his. I think it's going to be like a 60-40 split somewhere along the line, with Wolf taking the Wolf share of that one. Yeah. I'm interested in Wolf in a lot of points leagues where goaltenders are just aren't available. He's I like him as a 0G candidate.
Yeah, I do too. Lucas Dostal has graduated from 0G candidate. He is now above 50% roster. Just wanted to touch on that for 1 second, because he has been really good, probably really unsustainably good, just because Anaheim they're not very good in terms of defense. He's getting peppered, but he is stopping everything. He's looked so good. He's number 1 in the league in goal save above expected, which usually means there is going to be some regression coming, especially when you're on a team that's kind of shitty. But yeah, no, he's been really, really good. Probably the 0G hero of October now. Justus Annunen, 47% roster, which is surprising to me. He started 4 straight. Georgiev got the last game, but then got shelled by Chicago. I don't know about shelled, but he lost after Annunen won 4 straight. So I wonder if they go back to Annunen the next game. I feel like they probably will. But
actually, Kakkonen is in tonight. Kakkonen's getting the start, and Annunen got scratched.
Yes, I completely forgot about that. So that's interesting. Capo Kakkonen, yes,
and it's against I was like, I'm gonna add him everywhere. I love Colorado, and then I look and he's against Tampa Bay, and I'm like,
what are they doing? What are they doing? They're just trying shit. They're just trying shit right now. Yeah. It's weird. I don't have a ton of faith in Kakkonen. No. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. He looked actually pretty good in Minnesota, and then just ever since.
Yeah, I remember. I was so excited for him in Minnesota. I thought this was their guy. It's surprising.
Not good, man. Not good. Charlie Lindgren, 35% roster. That's a bit of a surprise. He does have an 895 on the season, so not an incredible numbers, but he is still playing in a straight tandem role with Logan Thompson, even though Thompson is considerably more rostered than Charlie Lindgren. So that's a guy I think that you could at least keep a close eye on, and might be worth a pickup there. Sam Ersson, Ivan Fedotov have been bad. Very, very, very bad. Ersson, 14% rostered as an 872 save percentage. Ivan Fedotov, 7% rostered. And my pick last week in Hutch versus 7% rostered, 821 save percentage. He played 1 game and got 0 Cacupful points, which is just the best. Just the best. I have not had a good start in Hutch versus this year. Ersson was your choice week 1. How are you feeling about the Philly tandem here, buddy?
Yeah, the whole team has been fucking garbage. Let's just be honest. I personally have a lot of faith in the way John Tortorella establishes his defense in front of his goaltender. A lot more faith than I maybe should. And I personally, like, if you're in a super deep league and there's just no goalies available, you might have Ersson looking at you, and you're wondering. I'm kind of I was looking at the game yesterday, and I was impressed at that shutout against Boston. Now, I don't know if this is impressive or not, because this year's Boston Bruins are kind of a question mark, but I'm a little bit more positive on Ersson. I still want to see. I think Philadelphia is due for some wins. I think they're gonna perform better than they have been. I'm still interested in Ersson. Definitely more interested in Ersson than Fedotov. But my leash is short. If you're desperate for a goalie, give him a whirl. He's got a little bit more attention on him because he just came off a shutout. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, I definitely feel better about Ersson than I do about Fedotov. They started Kolosov over Fedotov the other night. That was supposed to be Fedotov's start. That's part of the reason why I picked him, and it didn't work out. But Peter Mrazek, a guy that I'm definitely higher on. He's getting volume, which is really nice. 15% rostered. Hasn't been as strong this year as he was last year, but Chicago has been a little bit better in front of him. So that definitely that helps a little bit. So I do have some interest in Peter Mrazek. Alex Nedeljkovic, 6% rostered. He's got an 874 this year. Joel Blomqvist has been the best Pittsburgh goalie. He's 9% rostered and has a 911, so has significantly outperformed Nedeljkovic and Tristan Jarry. So, they're kind of running those two guys in tandem right now. But at what point do you just start rolling with Joel Blomqvist? I don't know, man. Like that team has not looked good this year.
Yeah, it's surprising. I'm so used to Pittsburgh always being a wagon. It's I'm still not used to them being bad. It's interesting.
Yeah, and then we'll move on to the Detroit goalies. Alex Lyon, 26% rostered. He's getting a start tonight. He has a 940 save percentage this year.
Crazy.
Cam Talbot, a 913. He's 48% rostered. These guys, I don't expect them to continue to be incredible. Detroit is really bad. They're one of the worst teams in the league in terms of metrics, offensively and defensively. Their Corsi for percentage, they are dead last in the league at 5v5. Their scoring chances for percentage, they are 31st in the league at 5v5. Their power play has been good. Their power play has been generating quite a bit, but holy moly, they cannot. I mean, and it's not a surprise, right? Like last week we saw them win a game with 10 shots, win another game with like 18 or 19, like sub 20 shots. They are really just, their PDO must be just through the roof. If their PDO is not first in the league here, and now I'm just going to pull this up because, I mean, that's got to be, they're fifth in the league in PDO. Actually, the number one PDO team in the league is the Vegas Golden Knights, which is quite interesting and not super surprising because they have been just scoring at will, and everyone on their team has been scoring like crazy. So their shooting percentage is probably insanely high. But yeah, the Detroit Red Wings, kind of, I mean, their record isn't great either, but they've been way outperforming Anyways, this team is bad.
That says a lot, you know, when they're outperforming their analytics, yet their record fucking sucks. So that's something to that.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Nate's talked about that quite a bit, about how Detroit, he's not high on Detroit, and I would have to agree there. And then last off, Columbus, Daniil Tarasov, he's 5% roster. He had 4 straight starts before Elvis Merzlikins started last game. That's partially because Merzlikins was hurt. Merzlikins did have a good start last game. They won, I think. They dummied the Oilers 6-1.
Yeah,
and Merzlikins looked really good. So they're an interesting team for sure. I don't know that they're another team that is definitely outperforming. There are aspects of the team, like obviously we talked about the Chinnikov, Monahan, and Marchenko line that's been amazing. Outside of that, I don't know that they've been necessarily fantastic, but they've been scoring at will as well, very very similarly. So Tarasov's a guy that I do have some interest in. I definitely like him. If I had to choose between him and Merzlikins, I would choose him. But I do have some fear that they're going to just go back to a tandem at this point, a straight tandem, if Merzlikins is playing well. So I'm not super high on either of them. All right, let's go to Hutch versus. I mean, we can recap last week if we want.
Yeah,
I have a season long. I have a season long. I am in the negative so far this season in terms of total points. I chose Tristan Jarry week 1. And he played, I believe, 1 period of hockey and hasn't played since. And then I chose Ivan Fedotov, and he allowed, I believe, 4 goals in the first half of the game. Shut the door the rest of the way, and Philly almost came back, actually, in that game against the Capitals, but ended up with 0 cacuffle points and then didn't play again. So I am completely in the negative in terms of total
So-
points. I didn't even look up Blake's score because I knew I lost.
You just knew it.
So
yeah.
I'm
so
0-2.
what you're what you're saying is that to any NHL goalies watching this, send Josh a bunch of money so that he doesn't pick you for his choice any week for the rest of the year, or else your career is kind of fucked.
That sounds like a great idea. Yeah. Pick Tristan Jarry, got sent to the minors for
There
the
you go.
first time since in many, many years. Got put on waivers, sent to the minors. Ivan Fedotov, he hasn't played in a week.
Nope.
It's not good. I've got the kiss of death here, so watch out. Maybe don't pick up who I choose here. But Gugsy, why don't you give me your guess here?
All right, I know I'm the most boring human being alive for this, but I'm gonna go back to my gifted horse, whatever that saying is. Urson, he won me that first week, but barely. He had an awful first week. But I'm just gonna be honest. I'm super excited because he just came off a shutout. I think Torts is gonna reward that with a couple of more starts. Again, I like the way the defense played in front of him in the last game. Yeah, the team has been fucking trash the whole year, but I'm just really hyped off of that shutout. I don't think he has much competition. I think he's they don't really have much of a choice. They have to kind of give him the Lions' share of the starts. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Urson, and I especially like this pick because like nobody owns him. He's under everyone's. Nobody's paying attention to him. 14% owned. He's available, so let's go with Urson. I like him. What do you think?
Well, I mean, just sticking with what you know. He got you a win week one. And I don't hate the strategy. My pick this week's going to be Peter Mrazek. I've got to go with volume. They seem to just be sticking with the guy. They've got a decent amount of games coming up over the next little while. So I think I got to roll with Mrazek. They're playing the Sharks as well. Sharks, the Kings, and the Ducks. And he should get 2 of those starts. So I think I'm just gonna roll with that and hope for the best. So Peter Mrazek's my pick. So you've got Sam Ersson, I've got Peter Mrazek. We will see who comes out on top next week. Will I get my first win of the season? Probably not.
I don't think so.
But we'll find out. All right, let's go to the Hockey Hotline. That is our mailbag segment. I'm going to try and get to some questions from the chat here before we dive into the Discord. We've got actually a comment from Russell Whitlock. Looks like they're running Booch and Eck on power play 1. No Arvidsson. That's in Edmonton. So that's interesting. That's probably coming out of practice today. I did not see that, so that's worth noting.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. Not sure how I feel about that, but I mean, yeah, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
No,
actually.
two defenseman power play 1s are kind of yucky. I'm not a fan.
I like it for anyone that has Ekholm. In their leagues. Yeah,
he's in some wires. Check if he's free. Why not?
Yeah, it means only good things for him. Armaeus, I traded Hintz and Michkov for Kyle Connor. 10-man category league. Good deal. Yeah. I think so. I like Kyle Connor. I think he's the best player in that deal by far.
Oh yeah.
I don't think any of those 3 are really great categories players. Kyle Connor shoots the most of the 3 and he'll probably perform the best on the power play. So I think you win that deal, and a 10-team category league.
Yeah,
okay. So Michkov is like barely rosterable in a 10-team league. So
he's gonna be dropped.
I feel like that is a great deal for you. That's really, really, really nice.
Pat yourself. That's good.
Pat yourself on the back for sure. Anthony Pham says, "Is Nick Suzuki playing too well, and if so, how much will he regress?" I've got news for you. Nick Suzuki is always playing too well. Always outperforming his number. Actually, you know what? Look at his last 5 games here. Is this right? I'm a little blown away by this. This can't be right. I don't know that this is populated correctly. Now I need to double check this because this would be crazy for Nick Suzuki. So he's got 7 points in his last 5 games. Shots per 60 rank is 74th in the league, and individual scoring chances for per 60 rank 24th. That can't be right. There's no way that's right. There's got to be a problem with the sheet because it's never that good. I don't know, man. Have you watched Nick Suzuki lately?
I actually haven't. I'm surprised he's doing this good. It's Nick Suzuki. He's not supposed to have these underlying stats. This is
Yeah, what is this? What
something's
is
broken.
this?
I don't trust this. Something's wrong.
This can't be right. All right,
No.
I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna double check here,
Yeah.
and we're gonna get back
Listen.
to that. Let me pull up another question here, and I'll let you talk about it. And I'll try and do some research. Hey guys, somebody dropped Wyatt Johnston in my 10-man banger league. Should I scoop him up immediately? What do you think about that, buddy?
I think so. I mean, I know their schedule sucks, and Wyatt hasn't been performing, but his underlying numbers look good. He's not getting the time on ice you wish, but I think he's got a hot streak coming sooner or later. It's just can't if you're like 0 wins on the season, this next like week or two is gonna hurt you. That's what you really got to think about. But I would still lean towards adding Wyatt Johnston. He's a fucking talent, man. And especially like think about it. What if some injuries happen in Dallas? Then his stock's gonna go up even further. I think as a long term hold, I'm rolling the dice with Johnston in a 10-man league, even if it's bangers, because this guy has shown that he can give you a shitload of points, and even in a bangers categories league, points are super valuable. Goals and assists, points, they win you weeks. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a tough one for me. He shoots a lot. I like that a lot. He plays on the power play, although, like Big C said, not super stoked about the Dallas power play right now. But I do like the opportunity Johnston is getting. In a 10-man banger league, that's also tough because Johnston does not hit or block.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know that he's an immediate like a I need to get this guy right away. Especially right now with the way their schedule is.
The schedule
But
hurts. It also depends like who else is on the wire that you might
yep.
be looking at over Johnston. That's a big one.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Yeah, that context is important. But I think just with the information that we have, I don't know that he's necessary. Like, I'm kind of on the fence about it, to be honest. Let's actually from T Bradink. I'm a Pens fan. Unless Sully is fired, I can't see things getting better. Yeah, I can't help but agree.
I'm not
with
sure
that.
how he still has a job. It's crazy.
Beard Meng, did I make a fatal mistake trading Mark Stone and Alex Tuck for Zach Hughes? I assume you mean Jack Hughes and Wyatt Johnston, banger league.
No, I don't think so. I like Jack Hughes a
No,
lot.
I don't. I don't think that
Jack
that's a bad deal
Hughes.
at all. I actually
That's
think
great.
that I think all season you're gonna come out on top there.
Yeah.
I think Johnston and Jack Hughes have had a slow start to the season, and Stone will not be the
No.
league's leading scorer at the
He's
end of the
at
season.
like
And
a
in fact,
130 point pace. There's no chance he's doing.
there's not a
130
chance.
Points.
Not a chance. Like I said, Vegas #1 PDO team in the league. So that's I don't think that is going to continue for Mark Stone. Wyatt Johnston as well. I think that like he's going to pick it up at some point. I'm going to just jump to the Discord. Actually, let's go. Gomer Jackson says, "Is Luke Hughes a good pickup?" I don't love Luke Hughes.
I don't. I actually
I'm just going to be
him.
honest. Just going to be
hate him.
honest.
I don't like him.
Dougie Hamilton's still getting power play one time, I believe. I could be
He's
wrong
doing
about
great
that.
too. He's doing really good.
So I don't think that unless he's getting that exposure, I'm not really super stoked on Luke Hughes. All right, let's go to the Discord. Bravest Face 666. Will Vetrano be a factor again this year? What do you think, man? I still like Frank Vetrano. He's got 3 points in the last 5 games. Ice time way down from what it was last year. He's getting 15 and a half minutes as opposed to like over 18 last season. So that certainly hurts. Underlying numbers still look pretty good. 9th in shots per 60 over the last 5 games. Individual scoring chances for per 60 really low. Like he's a chucker. And he's shooting 5.6%. That should bounce back a little bit, but the ice time is concerning. He is getting power play one time on that power play, that top power play unit that we were talking about. How they're actually playing them like a top power play unit now, and it looks like fairly loaded. So I do like that situation for Vetrano. I think that I don't know that he's going to get back to like the 30 goal, 60 point projection that maybe we were feeling like he was going to be at. but I think that he's not. He's also not going to score. Like what's his pace at right now?
It's not
His point
great.
pace is it's 41 points. I think he's gonna outperform that for sure. So I think there is gonna
Yeah.
be some positive regression here for Vetrano, but the lack of ice time is a little bit concerning there. What do you
Yeah.
think, man?
No, totally agree. I don't think he's nearly as bad as how he's been playing this year, but I don't expect him to reach last year's heights, especially with that ice time, and that's what it's all about. That as you said, the power play, they're finally doing a proper power play one. Zellweger is only gonna get more comfortable in the role, so yeah, I could see some positive regression. He's a puck chucker. If you're in a bangers catch leagues, he'll give you hits, he'll give you shots. Might not always give you points, but he's surprisingly on a few wires. People are getting pissed off at him, and if you see him available, pick him up for free. I'm into that for sure.
I got another question here from the Frogers. What happened to Byfield?
Ooh boy.
This might be a good question for you here. Like, underlying stats last year even were not amazing. He just was getting really nice opportunity, and
Yeah.
at times performed really well. I think part of it is probably he was playing center. Maybe like just kind of getting used to the position. They have moved him back to the wing on the top line with Kopitar and Kempe, but he's also had almost no power play time, which he was getting power play one time a good chunk of the year last year. That is probably part of it. But yeah, 0 goals for Byfield on the season, 4 assists. Individual numbers not good. On ice numbers not very good either. So I don't know, man. Like, what are you? I mean, I kind of know what you're feeling. You were kind of talking about dropping him a couple of weeks ago, and you supported that take once again. So, what do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you got it there. He's playing completely different than last year. He was a center last year. Not only that, but coaching has changed, and it seems like the whole team kind of hates this this coach. I don't know. Something's wrong with this team. The locker room. Something's wrong with the locker room. Maybe it's a coaching trust issue. Freaking Kevin Fiala ain't having it anymore. He's watching from the press box. I think the whole team is
Yeah,
not in a great place in general.
yeah, that's messed up. You don't scratch Kevin Fiala.
You don't do
That's
that.
ridiculous.
Come on,
You just
man.
don't do it. You don't do that.
Don't do
Uh,
that.
we got a question from Zudo. What do you think of Brant Clark so far? I love Brant Clark.
Yeah, really
He has
good.
4 points in his last 5 games, 8 points in 10 games on the season. It's been a really nice power play replacement for Drew Doughty, and honestly,
Yeah.
like, may even be. I mean,
Better.
you might even have to stick with him. Like
Yeah.
his individual numbers and his on ice numbers are amazing this year. 6th in the league in terms of defensemen in shots per 60, 16th in individual scoring chances for per 60. On ice numbers really good. 11th in Corsi for per 60, 46th in scoring chances for per 60. Yeah, this guy has been ridiculously good. Everything looks pretty sustainable too. Like nothing looks completely out of the ordinary for Brant Clark. So I mean, this is a guy that has another defenseman. We've talked about a few on this podcast today, but another guy that has a ton of offensive upside, and has a bright future. So and he's looked really really good. So I am really high on Brant Clark so far this season. I don't know. What do you think about that? We're talking a lot about a lot of LA Kings right now.
You know, a lot of people have questions. Yeah, Brent Clark's freaking awesome. It's a young man, and he's doing this much damage on the power play. Obviously, for a defenseman, you want his minutes to get a bit up there, but you know he's still winning the trust of his coaching staff. Well, I'm definitely holding. If I can snag him for a good price, I'm gonna snag him for a good price. I'm not even that worried about Doughty usurping him by like fantasy playoff time. I think this guy is a better weapon on the power play. Doughty's a bit old, and we don't know how he's going to be coming back on that injury. Maybe they're going to shelter him a bit. So, big Brant Clark fan.
So I'm noticing it's 4:30. So I'm gonna take one more question from the Discord, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. Nate asks,
Oh yeah.
would you rather watch the Leafs? It was 4-1 game once a week for a year, or have your only option for washing yourself be in the water off Zwick's Park for a year. Now, Zwick's Park is a park on the Bay of Quinte on Lake Ontario in Belleville. Um,
Is it nice?
a place that I frequent quite a bit. Actually, it's not a bad
Yeah.
park.
All right.
The water not the cleanest. It's not something that you are regularly just jumping into the water and swimming in. So I still think I would probably just bathe in the Bay of Quinte for a year over watching the It Was 4-1 game. That game traumatized me for the rest of my life. That I have so I truthfully I can't remember if Nate was there or not. I definitely I was at a party with mutual friends of Nate and where we all got together. There was probably 25 or 30 of us at this house. Like it was a big watch party for Game 7 between the Leafs and Bruins in 2013.
Yeah.
And I can remember everyone when they went up 4-1, Nazem Kadri scored the goal. Everyone's like, they got this in the bag. And I'm like, you guys don't know the Leafs. Shut the fuck up. This is not going, this may not go the way that you think it's going to go. And I was gun shy at that point. I knew this team. They hadn't made the playoffs in many years
10
before
years.
this.
I think it was 10 years. Yeah.
It was a long time. So when the goals started going in, I was like, not good, man. Not good. And I can remember when the tying goal went in, everyone was like, no, there's like an audible scream. And then when Bergeron scored in overtime, it was just silence, just dead silence. No one reacted. And I literally stood up and left. I didn't say anything to anyone. I just walked out the door. I was like, I can't deal with this. I did not say bye. And to this day, my buddy's brother who was there, it was at their parents' house, his older brother, whenever I see him, he's like, I still remember that game. He's like, we're not allowed to watch Leafs games together anymore. He's like, I still remember that game. You just stood up and left. You didn't even say bye. You just fucking walked out of the room. And yeah. So yeah, anyways, that's a long drawn out way of saying yes, I would bathe in the Bay of Quinte for a year. That's the line. That's found it, Nate. We found
beautiful.
it, Nate. I had a question. He
No,
gave me a question last week about sleeping on the streets of Belleville. That's not something that I'm ever gonna do.
No.
But bathing, I can do that in the daytime. So
Yeah.
The wintertime might be a little dicey.
Bit.
I'll probably be questioning my decision at that point.
I just want to talk about that 2013 Game 7. So before that series, the Leafs were bad for like 10 fucking years. You remember that? Like the decade of darkness,
I do.
Right? You remember that year?
That.
Of course you do.
Very well.
So I'm in Vancouver, and everyone loves shitting on the Leafs. I remember this vividly. I liked the Leafs, and a part of me liking the Leafs was just like, I'm a hipster. Fuck everyone else. I'm going to go against the grain. And I wore Leafs jerseys. I'd get shit on for that. And, thank God I'm 6'5", or else I might have gotten some smoke for that. No, people left me alone for that. But so Game 7 happens. I remember coming home from my shift at the crisis line, and I'm hunkering down. I'm watching Nazem. I tuned in once Nazem Kadri scored that, I think, the 4-1 goal, and my heart's bumping. I'm jumping up and down. I'm with Leafs Nation. I am electric. I'm so excited for this team to finally get some success, go and to beat the fucking Boston Bruins. I'm a Canucks fan. They're my number one team. I hate the Bruins. They destroyed us 2 years prior in 2011, and it feels sweet to see this underdog team who was down 3-1 at one point to come back. And then the goals start going in, and my heart actually sinks. And once Bergeron scores the game winner, I'm just like, Jesus Christ. And I knew I became a Leafs fan the next morning because I couldn't stop thinking about that fucking game. That's when I embraced being a part of Leafs Nation as well. Canucks are my number one, but I got love for the Leafs.
I love it, man. I love that so much. Well,
masochists.
It's nice to if you're going to endure pain like that, it's nice to be around friends. So I like to hear that. I like to hear that, and I'm sorry for that horrible experience.
First
to
of
everyone
many.
listening.
First of many.
The first of many. They've found new and spectacular ways to lose since then, and it's
Every
just
year.
just
It's
the full Leafs experience.
It's impressive every year. I mean, even last year, it was like when they were down against Boston, I was like, you all know they're coming back to the seventh game and blowing it in overtime.
yeah,
you all know this.
Yeah.
And it happened.
And then, yeah. They went right to the bitter end. Right to the bitter end, but they can't seem to get it done.
Nope.
It's really quite trying, that's for sure.
Yeah,
well, that's all we've got for today. Please leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you to those who already have. It's helped us a lot with our audience growth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out live when we're live. We're usually here every Wednesday afternoon, which is a lot of fun. We've also got just a ton of video content over there. All of our podcasts, for the most part, have video. So if you want to look at our faces, check out the YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. It helps us a ton with reaching people that we have not reached. If you like our content, check out the Apples and Ginos Patreon to support us on a monthly basis. Hop into the Apples and Ginos Discord server. We're having lots of discussions about fantasy hockey in there. Shoutouts to the band They're There for providing our music. Their Spotify link is in the episode description. Follow us on X. Nate is at Apples Ginos. Blake is at Blake Creamer AG. I'm at Just Josh and 41. Check out Gugsy in the Discord if you got questions for Gugsy, or if you just want to chat about the Canucks or the Leafs or anything in between.
Let's do it.
It's at Gugs with a Z or
Join
a Z
that
if you're
Discord.
Canadian.
There you go. Join that Discord.
Please practice safe stats and happy Halloween, baby.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Have a good one, folks.
Excellent. Soon the championship will be ours. All ours.